First of all, we would like to have a look at today's agenda. As you know, this session was originally planned to cover capacity development measures as well as gender. Unfortunately, we had a sickness in our team, so gender had to be postponed to a later point. Hopefully January, we will get in contact with you again and send out invitations to a separate meeting on gender. So the first part will be all covered today. It's the topic of capacity development. And I have my two colleagues with me here today, Karin and Miyako, and they are the focal points within our team. And with that, I would like to give the word to Miyako.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Bonsoir à toutes et tous. Welcome from very warm welcome from my side, and I'm here together with my colleague Karin. We will be splitting up a little bit. I'll be doing the first part, and she'll be doing the second part. Now that you know who we are, we would also be very curious who is in the room. We've been already asking you in the chat to tell a little bit, maybe to share your name and the name of your organization and your country, but we could also do it a little bit more interactive, and I hope for that your camera is working. Could I ask everyone in this room, this virtual room, to keep your camera on or to turn it on if you haven't done so yet? So you've been welcomed. So I switched to the slide, which starts now with capacity development. So hello again, my name is Miyako. I'm the focal point for capacity development together with my colleague Karin, whom you also see in this room. We both have the same background, so hopefully you recognize us. We want to guide you through a little bit our understanding of capacity development, because we believe it's one of that we are proud of, that we're offering the service package to you. So first of all, let me introduce it to you a little bit, our understanding, what we mean with capacity. In our understanding, it means the ability of people, organizations, and societies to manage their own sustainable development processes and adapt to changing circumstances. So capacity development is a process for creating, adapting, and maintaining capacities, which is led by the actors themselves. And when we speak about actors, we mean you. In our understanding also, it should be viewed as a holistic process. So there's no one line only. It's a process that recognizes obstacles to development, designs strategies to tackle those obstacles, and then successfully implement these. So it's a process in which you resume responsible for change, and our role is to provide you technical advice, orientation, and also resources, including financial resources. And we come to that in a little moment. So our goal is to support you as agents of change for climate change, for climate and biodiversity action, not for climate change, of course not, to combat those. We are targeting 3 levels. So as I said earlier, on people, on organization, and also if you manage also at your national level. And we believe that this goal can be broken down into 2 different parts. So as I said earlier, we can provide technical advice. We support you in the successful implementation of your projects, and we all have seen your excellent proposals. And we want to support you in a way that enables you to be ready for also other larger maybe or other international projects. So we want to make you ready for more funding and to scale up the ideas that you have. And we also hope that with that, we support you in becoming a sustainable organization. So we believe that with you as players, as agents of change, that you will achieve something bigger in future and that you can grow as an organization. Just to make sure what we're going to talk about today, of course, in your project proposal, we have read you on your own will be doing a lot of capacity development activities for your own beneficiaries. That's what we're not going to address here today. We will be commenting those activities very extensively in the project proposal that you will receive very soon. Today it's really your organization which is in the spotlight. And why I'm saying this is that because we are offering, in addition to the funding that we are providing for your activities, by looking at your organization, we have 5 types of sort of support. One is an individual support by your project manager, and we have explained that the functioning of the project manager, hopefully in our earlier onboarding video a week ago. And then secondly, we also provide general information, which is accessible on our website, trainings that have been tailored for your needs. For example, this year we came up with a fundraising training specifically targeting NGOs. We also believe that you are the experts, and connecting you with peer-to-peer exchanges is maybe a good thing to upscale your solutions, your local solutions. So, for example, I don't know if you can see the little picture here, but there was also exchange, for example, between Liberia and Sierra Leone on forestry, if I'm not mistaken. So, projects among the whole IKI family, you're very much invited to exchange among each other. We also provide some supporting materials on our website. And the last bit, I think the most important bit here, is measures that you are coming up with yourself, and we are financing it, and how this will be brought to life. That's Karin who will be digging into that a little bit later. Capacity development can mean all sorts of things. For us, mostly these are nine thematic fields. That's why it's also highlighted a little bit in red, sort of mandatory for us. Anyone who implements a project with IKI funding should be able to do a result-based project management. So should be able to track whatever you have been promising to do. We also believe that you will be able to finance, or you do improve your accountability of your financial flow. And we also put a lot of emphasis on safeguards, for example, on environment, but also in terms of gender and organizational development, technical expertise, public relation, knowledge management, or fundraising. These are all fields for us that can be summarized under capacity development. Why I'm saying all this is because you will be asked to choose, not all, but maybe a few that are needed for you to let your organization grow. And Karin is explaining that a little bit more detail a little bit later. So, for example, with regard to improving your gender competences, you could choose, for example, under self-organized measures to hire yourself a local consultant who provides a training for your staff to become, for example, on gender indicators or on monitoring, or to mainstream gender activities more efficiently in your project design. Or with networking, again, like the earlier example, you could look into our IKI family to see if there's anyone else working on a very similar topic with regard to gender mainstreaming, and you could organize a peer-to-peer exchange on this. And finally, we also have some supporting materials which we are very willing to share. We also happy to share some impressions. For example, on the lower right-hand part, you can see an NGO who have done their own technical training, and now their staff received who have successfully completed the training, their respective certificates. An impression from Cameroon, from a field visit that we've done jointly, and also, well, as you know webinars. This one was on improving your presentation skills. With that, I'm already done with the theoretically part. I'm sharing my email here, but I'm also sharing this in the chat so that you have it directly. I'm inviting you now. Do you have general questions with regard to our capacity development approach or support to you? But I'll leave it now to Karin. I think it would make sense, if it's okay for everyone, that we finally leave Karin the floor so that she can explain in more detail. And really, please, folks, if you have more, if your question are not answered after Karin's intervention, please come in again. So with that, Karin, you already have the correct slide here, so here you go. Thank you.
Yes, welcome everybody from my side as well. My name is Karen, and I will guide you through this section now on how to compile your IKI Small Grants Capacity Development Package. As you've heard before, IKI Small Grants offers several instruments for capacity development. So we have the individual support provided by the IKI Small Grants project managers and from the GIZ colleagues in your countries. We have general information, events and trainings. We have exchange and networking. We have guidelines and supporting materials. And now we will take a closer look at this instrument of self-organized measures, which will be financed as part of your grant agreement. And this is something very special for IKI Small Grants because you do not only receive the money for your project implementation, but you will get an additional budget of up to 10,000 euros for your self-organized capacity development measures. And I will explain now how you can define or compile this CD package. As you've heard last week in the general introduction, you will soon get contacted from your IKI Small Grants project manager, and that person will send you your project proposal. And in the project proposal, you will have new parts in yellow, and this is where you fill in, for example, this capacity development package. But how can you come up with this package? In order to help you, we know that all organizations that we work with are on very different levels. Some of you, they might do regular assessments of your organization and you know very well where you stand, where you want to go, where you have challenges and which areas you want to address. For those, you are very welcome to stick with your tools, the ones you use on a regular basis. For those organizations who do not do a regular assessment or that are only starting with this, we have compiled a little IKI Small Grants self-assessment tool. It's a little document, it's a PDF document, and it guides you through our 9 different thematic areas, asking you simple questions and helping you to identify where you stand as an organization. And I mean, depending on the size of your organization, you are probably the project managers, but please also consult the head of your organization or someone in your organization who's responsible for capacity development, because this does not only address your project, but it should really address your whole organization. So you will receive this tool, you can go through it, and then you can propose some activities for self-organized measures. And these activities will then be added in the project proposal, in the Gantt chart, and also in the budget. You can discuss these with your project manager. So when you send back the first revision of your project proposal, you can include them as suggestions. If you're completely lost and you say, we don't know where to start or what to begin with, you can also ask your project manager, can we please schedule a meeting specifically on this topic? And then you can make some suggestions before you start writing them in the proposal. But if you already have very concrete ideas, just write them in the proposal. The project manager will check, maybe comment. And then after some discussions, you will have the final version of the project proposal, and this will become an annex to the grant agreement. Let's look at the individual steps a bit more in detail. As I've mentioned, we have this tool for capacity development. It gives you, again, an overview of our capacity development approach and of the different thematic fields that we cover within IKI Small Grants. It also presents offers made by IKI Small Grants. For example, it includes some links to recordings of trainings that we did before. And it should help you or assist you in compiling your activities. It should also give you an orientation for impact measurement in the capacity development area. And you will receive the tool, I think next week you will receive a general email with the recordings of the onboarding sessions and also with this tool. So while you still wait for your project manager to get in contact with you, you can already start going through the tool and thinking about what activities you would like to include. As I've said before, you will receive the project proposal. It'll be a Word document, and you will have 2 fields. Those are the ones that you filled in already with your application about your ambition as an organization. And you were already invited to include some information on what you would like to do, but that was just for us to get an impression on where you stand and what you want to do. But you don't have to stick to the original suggestions. You can really go through the assessment tool and adapt this. And then for each activity, we expect you to write a short description of the activity. For example, training on fundraising for staff members, or it can be a webinar, or it can be sending someone to a conference, or it can also be inviting a consultant to work with you on a monitoring and evaluation strategy for your projects. You should select the area. We have 9 thematic areas, and basically any activity would fit in one of these 9 areas. So something on monitoring and evaluation would enter into results-based project management. Anything on financial management, of course, would go in this number 2. Then we have safeguards, gender, organizational development, technical expertise, public relations, knowledge management, fundraising, and specific capacities. So anything that does not enter into number 1 to 8 would go into number 9. For example, if you want to strengthen your staff member on IT skills, or if you want to do a language class, for example, English language for your staff members, or on artificial intelligence. If you say this is what we need now as an organization, you could send your staff members to a training that would go into number 9. And then you would write again, who's your target group? For example, this would be for 3 finance staff members, how many male, how many female. Or you could also write it's for the whole organization. For example, if someone helps you develop a fundraising strategy, then of course it would not target individual persons, but it would be for the whole organization. And please also include the duration of the activity in hours, days, or months. For example, it can also be something like starting a monthly staff exchange on gender topics. It's not always activities that are very expensive. You can also send one person to a training, and then that person would basically host like a gender roundtable for your staff once a month. And then we see that actually it's not just about training one person, but really implementing this capacity in your organization. So please always do not only look at the personal level on individual staff members, but really on the organizational level. Once you've put together your activities, they should also be included in the budget. Your capacity development budget may include external contracts, for example, consultants for trainings or developing strategies. It can include training costs. If you send people to trainings that are provided by other training institutes, for example, it can include travel and event costs. It can include other costs for materials for the trainings, but it cannot include staff costs. So if you train people who are part of your project team and they will be very active in the capacity development activities, you should maybe increase their percentage of working hours in the general project budget. But if, for example, you want to send your whole staff of your organization to a training for 2 hours and we pay already for the training, then we would see this as your contribution as organization. We would basically pay for the fees, but you cannot add extra staff costs in the budget for staff members that are not member of the project team. And of course, it should also be then included in the Gantt chart, so we see when you will schedule these activities. And of course, you should consider when the workload's very heavy within the project, so people don't get overcharged at some point of time. Here you have some examples for possible CD activities. That's not a package, that's just some examples. For example, you see here training on digital monitoring and evaluation, or training on project planning and management, training on gender mainstreaming or accountability. It can also be technical topics like training on renewable energy grids. Of course, you cannot do everything, the resources are limited. But what we really would welcome you to do is not only look at training and staff members, but really also look at the individual on the organizational level. For example, you could organize a workshop on knowledge sharing and platforms that would increase your knowledge management. You could develop policies and hire a consultant that works with individual staff members or with the whole staff. Or develop different strategies that are needed for you at this point. Yes, please, as I've said before, feel free to include measures that do not cause additional costs, for example, regular exchanges of your staff members or participating in free trainings. There are also a lot of online trainings that are free of charge that are available, and we're in the middle of compiling lists. We're not done yet, but I think once your project starts, we will be a step further, and we will send you recommendation lists also for free trainings on different thematic areas. So to sum this up, what is important? The implementation of all capacity development measures has to take place during your project's contract period, so they cannot be before or after. Of course, it's nice if they continue after the project, but everything that is financed by IKI Small Grants has to happen in the project, in the duration. Please include several levels of capacity development, personal and organizational. Please exploit the synergies between the two levels, and consider your current needs and your ambition as an organization. We do not ask you to cover all 9 topics. You can choose 1 or 2 or maybe 3, the ones that are most relevant to you at this point, and where you can think that you can also make the most out of the resources provided. It's good to be ambitious, but it's not good if you get overwhelmed and you try to do everything at the same time. Just choose what are your priorities based on also what you've done before and where you stand at this point. Okay, that was it for the self-organized measures. Now I also want to do a quick tour on exchange and networking opportunities, because as I've said, you can receive up to 10,000 euros for the self-organized measures. But if you are interested, we would also welcome you to get involved yourself and engage other IKI Small Grants organizations in exchange and networking. For example, if your organization has a very strong focus on a thematic area, on climate smart agriculture, for example, or if you say we are very strong on social media, for example, or on public relations, and we would like to share this experience with others, then we would welcome you to organize exchange and networking events. And we can provide an additional budget. We do not have a fixed number, but it should not be exaggerated, mainly since it's normally on an international level. It's digital webinars or exchange activities, but you could also organize exchange events with other IKI Small Grants organizations in your country or on your region. Then you could also do it on site. For example, if you're in Nepal, you can check on our IKI Small Grants website all the projects, and you can sort them by country, and then you can see we already have 11 projects in Nepal. So basically, you could also do an exchange meeting there on site in person. But yeah, this is something, if you want to do it, you see here on top the process for your individual package. If you want to propose peer-to-peer exchange, organizing a peer-to-peer exchange, we welcome you. When you look at the assessment tool, you scroll all the way to the bottom, and there we have one page with a little questionnaire about which topics you are specifically interested in, which topics you would like to participate in, for which topics you could provide maybe speakers, and for which topics you would actually be willing to organize peer-to-peer exchanges. Can be one, it can be several. And then if you have a suggestion, you could let your IKI Small Grants project manager know. Don't include it in the project proposal yet, because we have to see how many suggestions come up and for which regions. You can also say, I just want to do one for Latin America in Spanish. That's also an option. Please propose it to your project manager, and then he or she will come back to you and let you know if this is possible. And then if you agree on a topic, then you would also write a short explanation, what it would be about, who it would address, and then it would also be included in the project proposal. There will be another yellow section. This is about this opportunity of organizing peer-to-peer exchange. Yeah, this is really optional. You do not have to do it, and we don't see it as negative if you don't want to do it. It's just if you say, you know, we have something that we're strong on, we would like to share, we would like to invite others. You could also combine it. For example, if you're in a network already on, I don't know, coastal management in your region, and you have maybe something on site, and then you say, we take the learnings from that and we want to share it with the IKI Small Grants community. You could organize like an online exchange with other coastal regions. That's optional if you're interested. And last but not least, I would like to say a few words about the individual support. You've already heard a lot about this last week when we explained about the in-depth review phase. While we're in the in-depth review phase, we as GIZ, you know, GIZ is implementing IKI Small Grants on behalf of our 3 ministries. And we as GIZ, we have a network of colleagues in almost all countries where you're working in. So we will try to identify projects in your region, GIZ projects and colleagues that might work on a similar topic, or maybe colleagues that are very experienced with financial issues, and then they can support you if you see a need. So this is something, it's really needs-based. If you say, okay, we need some support with filling out the first financial statements, for example, and our colleagues in Berlin, of course, they're always willing to help you. But if you say, it would be nice if someone could come to our office, we can sit together, we can try and find a finance colleague on site or someone who works in the same technical area. It really depends a bit on the country. We have 10 countries where we have IKI interface projects from the large International Climate Initiative, for example, in Mexico or in South Africa. There we have a very strong active network. In other countries, it might be a bit more difficult, but if you need additional support, we will try and find it. We will start looking for potential support during the in-depth review phase, but since this will not be part of the grant agreement, we can also continue after the project already starts, finding support. This helps especially also with networking opportunities. If GIZ invites you to present your project somewhere, for example, and help you extend the outreach of your project. Yes, depending on need and availability, as I've said. And that was it from my side so far. Thank you very much for your attention. And I am sure you have some questions.